Welcome to my channel. Today we finally get a look at Borderlands 3. We've been waiting a while, so let's get right into it. We're going to discuss the gunplay, the locations, the characters, the customization, the new loot, and much more, so let's not waste any more of your precious time. First off, the gameplay reveal started off with a bang, showing us much more than I actually originally anticipated. Now, they started off by having the Borderlands team come up on stage so we could see who's behind this glorious game, which was a real genuine moment, and I really appreciate that. But then Randy Pitchford, CEO of Gearbox, jumped right into the gameplay, so sit back, relax, and prepare yourself. This is Borderlands 3. Now, one of the most memorable aspects of Borderlands is the brilliant writing, and I'm happy to announce that has not changed with Borderlands 3. In fact, it seems it's been improved upon and made even more comical. Now, Claptrap makes a return here. Though he is voiced by a different actor, you can hardly tell. It's done in a very respectful manner, and he seems even more dumb and brave than the previous games, if that even is possible. So overall, the comedy hits home. But what about the basics? What's our role in the game? Well, we start off as a fresh recruit for the Crimson Raiders, which is a faction for previous titles. Now, one big change that seems so small is the fact your character will actually talk to the NPCs. You can actually have dialogue back and forth. This was actually a feature missing from other games. This is really cool. Now, this honestly is a very good change. It'll make the experience that much more immersive. Now, Borderlands 2 was a huge game. It had a ton of content. Well, guess what? Borderlands 3 is said to be much larger, and from the looks of it, the mere scope of this game is incredible. Another thing I noticed was the great number of returning characters that they showed, and they're as charming as ever. Speaking of charming, the Calypso twins. The villains in this game are as good as I expected. They are as cruel and hilarious as Handsome Jack was. At least this is what it seems like. Of course, we didn't see too much about him, but from what I saw, I really liked what they are doing. Now, I don't really want to go too much into detail. I've done videos in the past covering the villains in a little bit more depth, so if you want to go ahead and check that out, be my guest. But let's go ahead and move on. I want to talk about something before we get to the more important aspects of the game. I'm talking about your base. This is your main hub. It is called Sanctuary 3, and yes, it is indeed a spaceship, which is really cool. You'll go here to travel to different planets, to customize your character, to talk to NPCs, to pick up quests, and just a few other things that we'll touch on later in the video. But let's go ahead and move on and talk about customization, how exactly you can make your Vault Hunter look a little bit more unique. The customization actually seems to be improved by a large margin. You can change everything from your Echo device to the color of your Vault Hunter, as well as the usual body and head skins you can earn throughout the game like BL2 and BL1, and I'm sure vehicle customization will also make a return. Now, I mentioned earlier that our new main hub is the Spacecraft Sanctuary 3. Well, it's kind of pointless to have such a pleasing place to hang out if you couldn't actually make it your own. So Gearbox actually decided to up its game. Now you can actually customize many aspects of your living quarters, which you couldn't do in Borderlands 2 or 1. And you do this by finding special items throughout the adventure, I'm assuming. And you can also place Vanquished Beast trophies in the new trophy room, which will add an aspect to go out and find the more rare beasts to actually put up on your wall so you can actually show it off to your friends and just enjoy your achievements all together. So when that first trailer dropped, some were actually very weary of how the visual fidelity of the game would turn out. Well, were they actually right? Hell no, this game looks so good, and they actually showed us a good amount of locations. From the starting point of Pandora to that big neon city we saw in the original trailer, Promethea. But let's go ahead and talk a bit about Pandora first. The environment is the first aspect that caught my eye. Everything has a very well polished look to it. Everything feels more alive. The flora actually sways in the wind, and every location shown on Pandora had a different look to it. Randy Pitchford said this time around we won't be seeing the same bland areas and color palette. He referred to it as visual boredom. So with this change alone, the game is going to be that much more interesting to explore. So Pandora is well done, but what about the other planets? That's right, planets, as in multiple new planets to explore. Now, they didn't mention how many there will be, but I think we'll be surprised by the planet variety. Now, they only showed us one other planet, and that's the one I wanted to actually explore the most. That beautiful neon city known only as Promethea. I was actually right in my original analysis. This place is simply awe-inspiring. It has a real cyberpunk vibe with a very vibrant color palette. It really is appealing to the eye. Now, the enemies also seem to vary from planet to planet, which is also nice. Now, this is kind of off topic, but the travel sequence when you're going to different planets is actually pretty sick. If you've ever played Warframe, it's very similar to that, or Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I just thought that was a cool little note to put in there. Now, so this game has changed for the good when it comes to the visuals and location variety, but what about the most important factor? The gameplay. Wow, where do I begin? There are a lot of gameplay improvements here, so bear with me. Let's go ahead and start by talking about the increase in strategic tactics. New to Borderlands 3, we now have destructible environments. I don't know to what extent, but from what I've gathered, you can destroy cover that enemies are in. There are also new environmental hazards. For example, we saw an oil barrel that you're actually able to shoot to spill oil on the ground, and then you can shoot that to light a fire. And I know Borderlands has done this before, but not like we see here. It seems more complicated. It seems like there's more strategic maneuvers you can do, not just shoot the barrel and it explodes, which is a good thing in my opinion. Now be sure to let me know what you think of all these changes down below. Being strategic isn't the only new mechanic, however, actually far from it. Another important aspect to make a shooter game feel more fluid is the movement. And yes, it is so much better implemented here. Not saying it was bad before, but damn, it seems like an enormous quality of life change. I'm talking about the fact that you can actually climb onto ledges to pull yourself up. This sounds small, but really it's not. I can't tell you how frustrating it was to get on top of roofs and buildings in the original games. Not only can you climb, but you can also slide while running. This will change the pace and flow of battle in ways that you won't suspect. There are also a proper crouch now, which is always nice. Movement is important, but there's something much more vital: the gunplay. Gunplay has many changes. The most notable is the new alternate firing modes, meaning every weapon you find will actually have two uses. For example, one gun can have a regular firing mode and a fire bullet firing mode that you can switch to instantly. Another can actually have both fire and ice elements. You can even find a rocket launcher that can be switched to a chain gun immediately, and these are just but a very small amount of the insane combinations that are possible. This will make every weapon you find that much more useful, and I honestly can't wait to see the mere possibilities of the endless fun that Borderlands 3 will provide us with. Speaking of the weapons, the appearance of every single weapon shown to us was appealing, and most of them were starter weapons. Instead of starting out getting shitty weapons and finding good ones like the other games, you'll actually start out with very satisfying weapons and move to the badass amazing ones towards the end. This is actually how Randy Pitchford described the difference between the loot in Borderlands 2 and 3. Now we also get to see the example of the guns with legs, and yes, it's better and funnier than I could imagine. Also, another little improvement I noticed was how crisp the gunfire sound, which as we all know is an important factor for satisfying gunplay. Now if you mix these new gunplay elements with that new movement system, holy shit, you'll get the most gratifying combat in any Borderlands title, and maybe out of all the others in the same genre. Now besides gunplay, there are some more interesting changes I'd like to talk about. First is the new Lost and Found system. This is a mechanic that will save your ass from the annoyance of losing a gun. Any weapons lost because you didn't pick it up will now show up here. Also, NPCs can now be revived, but even better, they can actually revive you as well. This will make things a bit more fun and will add a certain importance to the many NPCs that we love in the game. Okay, so while I was editing this video, I actually found out there might be some type of cosmetic microtransactions in the game. Randy Pitchford and Game Informer are having it out on Twitter, which is actually kind of hilarious. It's not hilarious, but it is at the same time. I'm gonna show some of the tweets right here, right now. It's very interesting. Apparently, Randy said there are cosmetics that you can buy. Now, I'm not sure in what way you can buy them. I'm not sure if it's going to be with premium currency with an in-game store, or if it's just going to be a couple costumes that you could buy at whatever platform store you have. Now, this is very interesting because Randy did not say this at the reveal at all, at least not from what I've heard. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below if I am wrong. I just thought this was an important thing to put in the video. Let's go ahead and move on. Before I close out this video, I want to go ahead and discuss a couple more changes. The first is the overall UI. This is a very polished menu altogether, and I'm not disappointed in the least. Even the shops in the game have been majorly improved. No more boring menus. The vending machines actually act as you think they would, like an actual vending machine. I don't know why I like this so much, but this alone is a game changer for me. I actually tweeted out about it, how much I actually enjoyed this change. Actually, go follow my Twitter if you want to stay up to date with all the new and old games, and even participate in some polls that'll decide what content I'll be posting. I know I've missed a lot of details. I left a few things out, but only because I didn't want to bore you guys. I'll be posting more videos soon covering in-depth looks at all the Vault Hunter characters and much more, so make sure to tune in for all your gaming news and reviews. Before I leave you guys, I forgot to mention one thing. It has to be the enemy variety. It's insane how many enemies we saw in the reveal, including a female bandit, which is awesome. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You're watching Sons of the Abyss Gaming. Have a great day. I'll talk to you guys soon. I got broads in Atlanta, just to lean the family, credit cards in the scammers.